At the age of 20, Amelia goes to a plane show and gets hooked on watching these stunts. She started going to a bunch of these air shows. In 1920, when she was 23 years old, her dad took her to a show out in California. He bought her a $10 ticket for a ride in one of those planes, which today it would be like $160. So it was pricey to get on this plane. She said, quote, "By the time I had got 200 or 300 feet off the ground, I knew I had to fly." Aw, I love that. And she was like very serious about it. Just a month after that show, she started taking flying lessons at Kinner Field in California. At just 6 months after that, she bought her first plane. I know, wow, what'd she do for a living? I don't know. Oh, well, the plane was secondhand. It was a secondhand Kinner brand Airster, which was a 2-seater plane painted bright yellow. She named it the Canary. Ah, that's very special. And to Amelia, it was like the perfect starter plane. I guess the Canary was pretty rickety and old-fashioned at that point, so many of her pilot friends actually told her, "Do not buy this." Amelia's flying instructor even told her, like, "Look, I'm not flying in this, okay? Nope." Eventually, Amelia sold her starter plane and upgraded to a larger plane that she could take on longer flights. In 1922, with the shaky old Canary, she even set a woman's altitude record by flying all the way up to 14,000 feet. You go, girl. In 1928, she set another record when she became the first female passenger to cross the Atlantic in a plane. Breaking news, it made headlines everywhere, but Amelia honestly had some mixed feelings about it. Obviously, she was like, this is exciting. She was in the paper, she was a pioneer of aviation, she was really making a name for herself, but she had only been a passenger on that flight across the Atlantic. You know, it was still flown and operated by a man, and he was getting all the credit. She was just the passenger. She called herself, quote, "just baggage, like a sack of potatoes." I do feel like that at times too, girl. I do feel like that. Amelia wanted to start setting her own records as a pilot, not just as a passenger potato sack. So she started entering competitive races. This got the attention of a publicist named George Putnam. Now, I guess George had already knew about Amelia because he was the publicist for the famous 1928 Atlantic flight. He liked Amelia and he saw her potential. He allegedly told her he believed that one day Amelia Earhart could be a household name. As George and Amelia worked together, the relationship got sexual. Good for her and him, I guess. I don't know. But George actually proposed to her 6 times. Amelia always saying no. Not because he was a bad guy or anything, but because Amelia didn't love the idea of becoming a traditional wife. And that's what it was at the time, you know? She didn't want to put her career on hold when she had so much going for her. One thing I did not know was that Amelia, she was a pilot, yes, but she also worked as a social worker. Apparently, she was even planning on writing a book about social work before leaving for her infamous flight around the world. She was a lecturer and counselor of aviation at Purdue University. She was the first celebrity clothing designer. She had a luggage line and was truly a household name. So then in 1931, George proposed again, and Amelia finally said, "Okay, fine, I'll do it." When they did eventually get married, Amelia wrote her own vows, and I just want to read them to you because they really capture who she was as a person. Quote, "You must know my reluctance to marry. In our life together, I shall not hold you to any medieval code of faithfulness to me, nor shall I consider myself bound to you. I may have to keep some place where I can go to be myself, for I cannot guarantee to endure at all the confinements of even an attractive cage." So romantic. Yeah. That's so special. Feel free to use for your wedding vows. So yeah, Amelia's wedding vows, she's literally saying I'm not sure about this. We're going to sleep in separate rooms. Is that cool? As it turned out, Amelia wasn't wrong about what marriage would do to her career. Newsreels at the time started calling her Miss George Putnam, even though she hadn't taken his last name. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about her marriage, but just know that her relationship with George was just as much professional as it was romantic. It turns out being married to your publicist had some major perks. So by now, not only does Amelia have a really good publicist as a husband, but she's breaking records left and right. In 1932, she became the first woman to make a nonstop solo transatlantic flight. What does that even mean? Transatlantic. She did that. She set another altitude record, became the first person to fly from Hawaii to California. The first person to fly from Hawaii to California. And became the first person to fly solo from Mexico to New Jersey. That's very impressive, huh? She was fearless. The president at the time, President Hoover, even awarded her a gold medal from the National Geographic Society. She was the first woman to earn the Distinguished Flying Cross, which was a big deal because this was a military medal only given to men who had done, quote, acts of heroism, end quote. Amelia would often return from flights to giant parades in her honor. And by 1935, Amelia Earhart was one of the most well-known names in the entire world. Not only was she known for, flying, right? But she was kind of an it girl in pop culture. She was a great speaker, and she told really interesting and fun stories about her flights. After she was forced into an emergency landing on another voyage, she said, quote, "After scaring most of the cows in the neighborhood, I pulled up in a farmer's backyard," end quote. Emergency landings and crashes, very common at this time. Apparently, Amelia survived tons of minor crashes throughout her career. But even after all her achievements, there were still doubts about her ability to fly planes. I mean, she is a woman. What if she has her period in the air? What will happen? I mean, couldn't be trusted. What if she got cramps or something in the air? What if she had a mood swing in the air? I don't know. People wondered if she was actually skilled or just having a moment in the spotlight, which is so dumb. It's she flew an airplane to Hawaii and back and stuff. What do you mean if she's skilled? You do it then, But Amelia was determined to prove herself. So in 1937, just 3 weeks away from her 40th birthday, she decided to go for a big record. One that would make everyone really appreciate her. Amelia wanted to be the first woman to fly around the world.